Hello, today I will present the micros, risks, and the behavioral opportunity for Oppo Cnet. The Oppo Cnet operates in the smartphone retail market, so our business is closely connected to the consumer spending, inflation, interest rate, trade policy, and customer behavior. The main argument is that the Oppo should not only respond by the cutting price, instead Oppo should protect the margins, plan flexible and design the smart customer offer. Now I will use the AD and AS models to analyze the Australia's 2026 tax cut. In 2025 to 26 budgets, the Australia government announced the personal income tax relief. From the 1st of July, the 2026 the tax rate for the $18,201 to the $45,000 income brackets will fall from the 16% to the 15%. This increases disposable incomes and support the household spendings. Since the consumption is part of the aggregate demand, the stronger household spending the shift aggregate demand to the right. This is important for the Oppo because the smartphone sales depend strongly on consumers' confidence and the disposable income. In the short run, tax cuts increase the disposable incomes, so the household consumption rised. In the graph, the aggregate demand shift from the 81 to 82, the real GDP rise from the Y1 to Y2, and the employment may improve as the firms expand the output. However, the price level also rise from the P1 to P2, so the inflation pressures may increase. For the Oppo, this could mean more short-run demand for the smartphone, upgrade, and accessory. Customers may be more willing to replace their old phones or buy some additional products when they feel they have more spending power. In the long run, the tax cuts do not permanently increase the productive capacity. After the initial demand boost, the wage and the input costs may rise. This shift shuts around aggregate supplies from the SRA S1 to the SRA S2, the real GDP return toward YF, which is potential outputs while the price level remains higher. For the Oppo, this means the company should not treat the demand boost as a permanent or overexpand too aggressively. A short-term rise in the sales should be managed carefully through the flexible stock planning. For the Oppo, the tax cut created both opportunities and risks. The higher disposable incomes may increase the smartphone upgrade and the accessory sales, especially for the mid-range valued for the money model. However, the demand boost may be temporary, and the inflation may still reduce the real purchasing power. And therefore, the Oppo should use the target models, trade in offers and flexible inventory plannings. This means the Oppo should capture the actual demand, but avoid ordering too much stock or increase the fixed cost too quickly. Next, I will discuss the inflation and the monetary policy. The post-COVID inflation was caused by the supply chain disruptions, strong demand after the lockdown, and higher energy, rent, and labor costs. To reduce the inflation, the RBA raised increased rate. Higher interest rate make the borrowing more expensive, which reduce the consumption and investment. As a result, the price growth may slow, but the real GDP and the employment growth may weaken. For the Oppo customer, may delay the phone upgrade and become more price sensitive. Before the Oppo should protect the cash flow, use the targeted discount, and avoid relying only on the price cut. This is the important for the Oppo because the smartphones are not everyone's essential goods like the food, or rent. When the household face higher mortgage payments and the living cost, they may delay the upgrading their phone. This means the Oppo should focus on the value for the money product and the flexible payment option, rather than the assuming customers will buy the premium models immediately. Now I will analyze the tariff and the trade wars using the US market example. A tariff is a tax on the imported goods. In the graph before the tariff, the imported Oppo phone entered the US market at PW. After the tariff, the prices rise to the PW price plus the tariffs. Consumers demand fall from the QD1 to QD2, while the US domestic supply rise from the QS1 to QS2. As a result, important shake. The US government gains staff bind the US government gains staff reliance and some domestic competitors benefit. However, the consumers pay the higher price and the Oppo may sell the fewer units or lose the market. For the Oppo, the tariff weakened its value for money position. Before the US entry, Oppo should tax the tariffs seniorly and plan the pricings, supply the chain and local partnerships option. This also means that Oppo should not enter the US market with the only one pricing strategy if the tariff is passed fully to the consumers. Demand may for the shoppers. If the Oppo absorb the tariffs, the profit margins will fall, and therefore the Oppo needs to balance plans, including the local partnerships, supply the chain adjustment, and the product differentiation. Finally, I will discuss the behavior, economics, and the Oppo's decision making. Behavior economics shows that the consumers and managers do not always behave rationally. The first example is that the framing effect. The same deal can feel the different when the presented as a save $2,000 and instead of the 10% off. The Oppo should use the clear upgrade message chained in the offers and the bottle saving. The second example is the relative thing. Customers often compare the accessory price to the phone price. This means the case the urban and the warranties may feel more attractive when the bottle with the phone. The third example is sunk cost and the over-conditioned competition. The merchant may continue weaker campaign because the money has already been spent and the Oppo should use the stop-lose rule and A or B taxing before the scoring campaign. Overall, the Oppo should focus on the flexible inventory and the discounting cost controlled and the target bottles and smarter customer communication. And to conclusion, the Oppo Series face both economic risks and business opportunity, and the tax cut may support the short-run demand and the inflation interest rate, and the trade can create the pressure on the spending and the margins. And therefore, the Oppo should protect the cash flow, plan the inventory carefully, prepared for the staff risks, and use the behavioral insight to improve the marketing decision. The best strategy is not simple cheaper price. It is flexible planning, protecting markets, and the smarter customer design. That's all. Thank you.